Iann Dior is a hip-hop pop artist who's been around for a few years. He first broke into the mainstream with his appearance on the song Mood by 24kGoldn back in 2020. Iann has given us a few different sounding records over the years, and last night he just dropped what I think is a banger called Secret.
You've got secrets like I do.
That early 2000s pop sound is making a comeback, and I'm here for it. You guys have seen me make one of these beats for the Kid Leroy, and in this video I'm back to show you how I made another one of these super fun beats from scratch. To start off, I wanted to create that initial bounce for these type of beats, so I went into Analog Labs and got a synth bass. I came up with this progression right here. It's just a 1-7-6-5 progression in the key of C minor. I repeat it every 2 bars. There is some variation within the rhythm, but the notes stay the same. Here's what it's sounding like. I was kind of unsure where to go next after that, so I went into Splice and tried finding some ideas just to give me some inspiration, and I came across this art. While that sounds cool, it doesn't really fit the vibe of the beat that I was trying to create. But instead of trashing the sound, I decided to see if I can add some different effects to help shape it to be something that I could use. I ended up pitching it up a whole octave. I came in and added Cymatic's Deja Vu, which again is a halftime plugin I use in a lot of these videos. Then I have an effect rack EQ cutting out lows, boosting some highs, and then I've got microshift giving it that wide chorus effect. But the only thing those two effects really did for the sound was slow it down and just give it a different type of vibe. I still needed to shape it to fit the bounce of the bass, so I went in and I chopped it up a little bit, and it sounds like this now. The next thing I wanted to add were some chords, and I wanted to use a synth sound that kind of sounded like it would have been played back in the early 2000s. To find a sound like that, I used Universal Audio's Polymax plugin. I think it's a great synth VST. I found this saw sound and I came up with this chord progression right here. To explain a little bit of the theory here, it's not very complicated. I just followed the bass notes that I already had created, and then I just made them into triads following the rhythm of the bass. I made some variations, like this note right here was the 5th. I took it up to the 7th note of the chord scale, and then adding in these top notes right here. These were all just notes that I thought sounded good, but if you want to dive deep into it, this is the 9th of this chord right here. This is just duplicating the 3rd. Same with this one, same with this one. This is the 9th again. So yeah, there is some theory to this, but I was really just clicking in some notes that I thought sounded good and just harmonized well with the chords that I already had. So just thinking out those chords, I went into Analog Labs and I grabbed this electric piano. I duplicated the chords, but I left out those top notes, so it's just the triads. This is what the synth and the electric piano sound like together. The next thing I wanted to do was add some melodies, so I went back into UAD's Polymax synth and I found this lead and I came up with this. I came up with this pattern by just doing what I normally do. I open up a sound and I mess around on my MIDI keyboard within the scale. I try to find different rhythms and different sounds that I think sound good. I came up with this initial call melody going da-na-na-na, so I needed a response, so I came up with this part right here which goes da-na, and in order for it to not get repetitive, I changed it up in the last bar of the 4-bar phrase and then the last bar of this 8-bar phrase. I also wanted to point out the space that I left in between some of these notes, and then also the overlapping that I did with these notes right here. When you're playing a lead sound and you have notes that overlap like that, instead of getting an attacky sound from each note, you're kind of getting a glide effect, which sounds really cool. And then for the space right here, it's just kind of following the bass so it keeps up with the rhythm. And for the last sound, I wanted to add a little bit of ear candy. I noticed in the song Secrets there was like this synth plucky lead that was just kind of playing one note, but it had like a rhythm to it. So what I did for my beat was I went into Serum, I found this lead with some pretty cool effects on it, some delay giving it some extra bounce. I played this rhythm right here and it just fills up the empty space. Now putting all of that together gets us a super hype and upbeat type of melody. let's talk about what I did for the drums. Since this is a pop type of beat and we're at 105 BPM, instead of having the snare hit on 3, you want it to be put on the 2 and the 4. That's what I did, and then I also just added this one filler note right here in the 2nd bar, and it repeats over here in the 6th bar as well. The next thing I did was add this kick pattern right here, following the bass, but also adding some extra notes to drive the bounce a little bit more. For the hi-hats, we got a couple different things going on. I have a 2-step regular sounding hi-hat, but underneath that I have this shaker sound that's kind of just accenting some rhythms that I thought sounded good here and there. For this open hat, I've got these up here hitting with the kick and the snare, and then this last one right here is hitting with the last snare sound before each 4-bar phrase, and it kind of just gives a different vibe to the last snare hit. It sounds cool. For the percussions right here, we just have a bongo and a rim, again filling up extra space in the bounce, keeping it going and just highlighting some different rhythms. All of those sounds together gave me this drum pattern. These type of beats always have a cool little intro, so what I did for mine was I chopped the E piano and then the bass, the hi-hat, the kick, and I just came up with this punchy little rhythm thing, and then I found this bass slide sound from Splice because I wanted that little whoom. It'll make sense if I just play it for you. From the intro right here, I came into this verse section. I chopped up the chords a little bit, kind of just giving it some room to breathe in the verse section. That way the chorus section feels more full. But all of the drum sounds stayed in for majority of the beat. The open hat doesn't play in the first 8 bars of the verse, but that's pretty much it. Then I just repeated those 2 sections over again with a simple outro. If you guys like the fact that these 2000s hip-hop pop beats are making a comeback, let me know down in the comments. Drop a like on this video and subscribe for more. I appreciate y'all for watching.